Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Mark Richt Show, presented by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki alongside my broadcast partner, Don Bailey Jr., former center and team captain of the University of Miami. The Hurricanes, a winner, 52-30 over Toledo this past weekend, and quite a ball game, Don.
It really was, Joe, and I think that you have to give this team a lot of credit. They rushed for almost 250 yards, and they held the opponent to under 100 yards rushing. And when you have that combination, it usually turns out well for you. But defensively, they honed in, especially in the second half, and came up with some big plays. They had some sacks, and then, you know, seeing Mark Walton go over 200 yards is something that I'm going to remember for a long time, and so will he.
Canes are about ready to go into the Hornets' nest. It's going to be a Friday night game. Friday night under the lights at Wallace Wade Stadium. We know what happened the last time we were there. But this Duke Blue Devil team is playing at a high level. They've already matched last year's win total. They've already won 4 games or 4-0.
Well, if you're sitting there and you're a member of the Duke football team, you just get done beating North Carolina. And what would be the icing on the cake for the whole year? This would be the best 7 days in the history of Duke football if they beat North Carolina and then the University of Miami. So I think they're going to be up for the challenge. I think that it's good for the University of Miami. They're playing at night. It's going to be a lot cooler up there than it has been. And the conditioning that Miami lacked while they were separated from Hurricane Irma from football season, I think it will help them being on the road and playing in the evening.
Canes will face Duke Friday night at 7 o'clock. But right now, let's take a look back at this past weekend's victory over Toledo, brought to you by UL Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
I know for South Florida, you can always see the community come together. It's about the people, you know. And on Saturday, it would be an opportunity where everybody in the community can get together, you know, and have a great tailgate, and get in the stadium, and create a great atmosphere to help our guys along.
Time to dominate your opponent. Wait 3 weeks to turn it loose. Just be like a bunch of caged animals ready to go. Set the tone on the kickoff. Set the tone on the kickoff return. The punt return. Defense. Offense. I need leadership. I need physical play. I need somebody making physical plays where the sideline gets ignited. Where I get excited. Play physical.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show, the Mark Richt Show, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki, alongside my broadcast partner, Don Bailey Jr., the former captain of the squad, and along with University of Miami head coach Mark Richt, and the Hurricanes coming off a 52-30 victory over Toledo. And Coach, congratulations. Nice to get back home. Nice to have a win.
To get the win part was the best, but it was nice to be home. It was a long 3 weeks, I can promise you. And I know I was whipped. I was exhausted. Yeah. I really was. And you try not to be, you don't want to be, but with all the things that had to be decided and the emotion of every decision that you make, and then just kind of living out of a suitcase for a while and all that kind of thing, it just it was sweet to be home, but it took us a minute to get back in the groove, that's for sure.
Coach, when you think about what happened the 3 weeks from Bethune to the Toledo game, what was the thing you're most impressed with from game 1 to game 2, even though it's like a month apart?
Well, defensively stopping the run. I mean, Bethune-Cookman ran the ball too good on us for who we think we are. And then in this game, we really did. We stoned the run pretty good. I think one run broke out for maybe 23 yards, and the rest was minimal at best. Now they threw the ball and they caught the ball well, but they're an excellent team. They're not even a good team offensively. They're really a great team offensively. And that quarterback is the real deal. I don't know if we'll find a guy that'll be more accurate and more veteran and just knowing what he's doing and how to do it. And he had some good skill guys, and even our defense really gave up 23 points. Because we did have the pick that just went inside the 10, and obviously we could have got a stop there, but didn't get it. But really, I mean, that team was averaging almost 50 points a game. So even though 30 doesn't sound really great, for the most part, we did a lot of good things. And the thing we didn't do well in the first half, though, was stop somebody on third down or get a third down conversion on offense. And that's where the thing got sideways in number of plays, time of possession. It was hot. It was kind of a perfect storm. The heat should have been to our advantage. It really should have. The heat and humidity should have been to our advantage. First half, it was really to their advantage, partially because of the shape that we were in, or maybe not in. And, I thought they were in better football shape than we were. And then because of those third down conversions on both sides of the ball, our defense was playing more snaps than they should have, and our offense didn't play as many snaps as we should. And then by the grace of God, there was halftime. We got a chance to settle down and regroup, and quite frankly, the weather cooled down a little bit. I thought it helped us probably more than it helped them.
Well, you sure do kill it at halftime. I mean, you take a look at the numbers last year and this year. I think you're outscoring your opponents in the third quarter by 200 points. So I'm not sure what you're saying. Well, you're doing pretty good with adjustments.
Well, either we're doing good with adjustments or we're just slow starting. I don't know. But maybe a little bit of both. We do need to start faster. Although we did start fast. I mean, it's 10-0. And then, gosh, we just, we might have dropped the ball here or maybe missed a block there. And that's all it takes is one play out of 3 sometimes to keep you from getting those first downs. But, in the end, when you look at the game in totality, we really played a pretty good offensive game. And our defense, once we settled down, played very well.
Coach Mark Walton, over 200 yards, and everybody appreciates his long runs, but I got a kick out of he and Coach Brown lobbying you on the sideline for one more carry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, he's in the game, and I'm like, what's he doing in the game? Get him out. It's time. It's over. If we just don't turn the ball over, we're probably going to win. So why is he in there? And so I was like, I told Coach Brown, I said, get him out of there. So Minor went in, and Walton didn't want to leave. And then Walton, did finally relent and come off the sideline. Then he came to me, and he's like, Coach, can I please go in for one more play? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, I guess he looked on the scoreboard and it said he had 199. And he goes, I got 199. Can I please get to 200? And I mean, how often does that happen? Not very often. So I said, if you promise not to get hurt, I'll let you play one more play. But you got to get it this play. I'm not letting you in more than one. So thankfully, we got a 4 or 5 yard gain and got him out of there.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll come back and have more of University of Miami head coach Mark Richt. The Hurricanes up next will be the Duke Blue Devils Friday night at 7 o'clock in Wallace Wade Stadium. We'll continue on the show right after this. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Mark Richt. Of course, our show brought to you in part by Williamson Automotive. The Hurricanes coming off a victory against Toledo, 52-30. Coach Ray rolled up almost 600 yards of total offense, and Malik Rozier, once he got going, he was really going. 3 touchdown passes, and he ran for 1 as well.
He ran for 2, actually.
Yeah.
One got called back. The one that got called back was a spectacular run, actually. Protection got up in his face, and he got knocked around in the pocket, and he didn't panic. And as we tell him, work yourself up in the pocket when at all possible. And as he was working himself up, the grass opened up, and he made a nice move on a safety and took it to the house.
His sample size is still kind of small, 3 starts, but Don and I were talking, geez, when this guy gets into a game too, there's a little bit of a gamer in him there,
yeah,
which is what he's showing in his 3 games. If you go back and include the Duke game from a couple of years ago in these first 2 starts.
Well, people that have been around him in the program from the past, they actually said when he knew he was the guy, even in the Duke game 2 years ago, he was a different guy.
Right.
And Malik's he's a fun-loving guy. He's a social guy, and I think he likes to be liked like everybody else. And but when you're the quarterback, sometimes you got to just worry about doing your job and doing it the right way, and then giving some tough love, or if you need to a lineman or to receiver, whoever, once in a while. But he really has proved that he can lock in and focus when it's time to.
Your secondary's been really hard in the first 2 games. Been a lot of mixing and matching back there, but also. Bethune and this team, Toledo, the strengths of their teams have been their receivers.
Right.
Toledo had the 2 Johnson receivers, and then Thompson. Those guys, between the 3 of them, have caught, I don't know, 500 passes or so in the last couple of years. These guys have caught a lot of passes, run a lot of routes with that quarterback.
Yeah, you could see that quarterback knew exactly what to do. It didn't matter what we were trying to do. He at least knew the right thing to do with the ball. We pressured and had somebody unblocked coming at him. That ball came out quick. If it was certain looks, they'd run the ball. Certain other looks, they'd be, at least trying to do the right things to have success. And like you say, those receivers were outstanding. And what happens is when they get those 3rd down conversions, and you have to start subbing your DBs. The other thing that people don't realize is the great majority of our special teams guys are defensive players, So now all your defensive guys that were 1st or 2nd team on your kickoff coverage team, now all of a sudden you got some 3rd stringers going down there, brand new guys that have maybe never taken a rep in their life, and all of a sudden they're in the game when it counts the most. And that's what I kept trying to tell everybody in the room, the night before the game, the day of the game. Hey, you think you're 3rd team, you're going to be the starter before this game's over. You're going to be in there covering a kick when you don't even think it's possible. So don't be letting your mind wander thinking I'm not going to play today. You're going to play, and sure enough, most of them did.
All right, Duke is coming up next. We'll talk about the Duke Blue Devils. They're undefeated. It'll be Friday night under the lights at Wallace Wade Stadium. We'll do that as we continue with the coach right after this. Welcome back to the Mark Richt Show, everybody. Happy to have you back. Brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr., my broadcast partner, former team captain and center, Hurricanes head coach Mark Richt. And this week, Miami on the road. Short week to take on the Duke Blue Devils, 7 o'clock kickoff at Wallace Wade Stadium. And this it's a very experienced David Cutcliffe squad, both sides of the ball. It's going to be a very big challenge for you.
It will be. They're undefeated, as you mentioned. They're going to have a unbelievable home crowd. I'm sure they just got done beating the biggest rival that they probably have, football and basketball. And they're riding high right now. They're believing, and they're believing for a good reason. You turn on the tape, and you don't know what you're going to see, but when you turn it on, you're like, these guys are legit. And both sides of the ball, they execute at a high level. Very David Cutcliffe type of a team, very disciplined. Guys that are in great condition. I mean, I watched their defense, and they're playing a bunch of different coverages, but they play them all well. It's not like it's like scheme of the week kind of thing. They're good at what they do. They're tremendous tacklers. Up on offense, they got a quarterback who is a run-pass option threat. And I mean, he looks more like a prototypical passer, pocket passer, which he can and is, but he can also run. And he can run with the physical nature, so that makes things tough for you defensively.
Daniel Jones, 6'5". He threw 49 passes against your team a year ago. But defensively, they kind of bend and don't break. But once you start threatening, right, the closer you get to the goal line, the more pressure you see.
Well, they like the pressure. They'll play man coverage. They believe in themselves, though. They'll match up with you pretty stinking good. It's not easy to get off that coverage from what I'm seeing. And shoot, we had a hard enough time getting off of Toledo's man coverage, quite frankly. We got to get better at getting off the jam and getting separation and throwing those balls into tight windows.
Coach, we've seen this program evolve. Duke has gone from what Duke used to be thought of to a whole different ballgame. I mean, they're a bold team, consistent, they play hard. Coach Cutcliffe's done a wonderful job there.
He's done a great job. Like I said, you know, the film doesn't lie. You turn on the tape, and you hope to see, you know, freebies or openings or things that you're like, we could take advantage of this, we could take advantage of that. You get your ideas, and you're writing them down. You're just scribbling as fast as you can. That's what you hope, you know. But you look, you know, I look at the tape, and I'm like, all right, we gotta figure this thing out. And the bottom line is, you gotta win man to man. In coverage, you know, as they're trying to cover us, and even, you know, up front, you know, there'll be times we're going to ask our linemen to block, you know, just five-man protection, just the linemen free release everybody, and there's going to be 5 guys coming, and they'll be twisting and stunting and this and that, and we got to be able to pick it up, and we can't just sit there and max protect all day long. So it'll be a challenge for us offensively, I know, and defensively. Again, when you have a quarterback that can do what he can do, it stretches you.
The last thing before we go, the Duke game is the beginning of conference play.
Right.
So Coastal Division game, so it's a big game. And
it's a huge game.
On the road, so big game, Coastal Division?
Well, all conference games count in your record, but your Coastal Division record means just a little bit more when it comes to tiebreakers and things like that, if need be. And so this is as big as it gets.
That'll do it for the Mark Richt Show. For Don Bailey Jr., I'm Joe Zagacki. We'll see you next time right here on the Mark Richt Show. So long, everyone.